take one.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe. I guess just because you said MCU, actually, I'll go over this and then we can talk about it.
Wait, it's Marvel villains.
Yeah, are we doing Marvel or MCU?
Marvel.
We could do Marvel. I was thinking Killmonger with Michael B. Jordan.
Whoa,
MCU.
Whoa. Oh, well, yeah, he's a Marvel villain.
Yeah.
He's a Marvel villain.
Yeah.
Are we doing
you were
Marvel or
teasing picks for a
MCU?
second.
But no, I'm saying like MCU, or we just go Marvel, like outside the MCU, but still Marvel characters. That could still be an option. That will change my board, my draft strategy dramatically.
Well, let's decide right now, right? So,
I mean, in the document that I was proposed with, it says Marvel.
Okay, let's do it.
all right. So Marvel. So this also includes pre-2008, just for you listeners listening out there. This top billing is inspired by our review of Without Remorse, starring Michael B. Jordan, who played a terrific Marvel villain in Killmonger and Black Panther. So we have the top billing of Marvel villains. So any villains that have appeared in Marvel are eligible. And as always, we have a snake draft style with 5 picks each. Once a character is picked, it is off the board. So the order goes Nez, Dr. O, then myself, Ricky Flicks. Dr. O, thoughts going into the draft?
Yeah, so I planned for just an MCU villain draft. It's a little more concise, obviously. We're going outside Marvel. We're going back a few years too. There's plenty of great options on the board. A lot more depth now that we're doing outside Marvel, and also better actors, better characters. So
Outside
I'm
the
pumped
MCU,
for it.
Still in Marvel.
Yeah, still Marvel, just not like
and it's Marvel
not
movies or Marvel comics?
no, like just the movies. But like I'm saying, like we're
No, I just wanted to
initially
clarify that myself.
initially it was just going to be Iron Man and on like MCU films, but now we'll just do Marvel.
Open it up. Open it up.
Nez, thoughts? You wanted the first pick. You got it.
I wanted the first pick. I got it. I'm excited about this. I think I have a pretty creative draft board here. Looking to get back on top because I had a streak going of top billing wins, and I'm trying to get back to number one. After
All right. Well,
I have one question. If we're doing characters, what if one person has played multiple characters? Like one character's been played by multiple actors.
I know where you're going with this. It'll be the similar thing as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So you have to pick one, or you pick one for the graphic.
Yeah, you
guess.
picking the
Yeah,
character
pick
and
one
then you
for the
pick the
graphic.
actor
Okay,
for the
cool.
graphic.
That solves a lot of questions.
But nobody else can pick.
Let's
that.
do it to it.
All right. Now start us off with the top billing of Marvel villains.
I mean, I think there's a pretty obvious 1-1. I think the first round is going to be pretty chalk overall, but I'm going with arguably the greatest villain of all time, or arguably. And I'm going with Thanos. I mean, he's iconic and he's right up there with Darth Vader. I don't know why I just blanked on that. May the 5th was last week, but he's right up there with Darth Vader as the greatest villains of all time. He's an icon. I just remember walking out of Infinity War and seeing the tears on children's faces that Thanos was providing with that snap. I mean, he's iconic. He's there's other people that I really like and maybe even like more than Thanos, but at 1-1, round 1, pick one. I got to go with Thanos. He's the king.
You got to go with Grimace, number 1 overall.
Big time.
Worst hair in the MCU, but the best villain, hands down, not even close. The best on-screen superhero villain since probably Heath Ledger, in my opinion. He is an absolute monster. Clear 1-1 pick.
Yeah, you got that first sight of him in the post-credit scene in Avengers in 2012. The bright purple, just terrible CGI. But now then you fast forward 6 years, you get Josh Brolin, just absolute masterclass from him playing Thanos. And the whole MCU was built to defeat him.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable pick. Obvious 1-1 for me.
Mr. Inevitable.
And that's part of, I think that's part of what makes him so legendary as a villain is the fact that they built up his villain and his story for multiple movies. Like, we were prepping for this. Thanos is coming. Like, we saw this, and especially the people that read the comics, they knew that the MCU is working towards this big bad, but like the biggest of bads.
Right.
And that's part of what makes him so awesome is the fact that the MCU was prepping for him for multiple movies, which I think is awesome.
And it's like that twist where Marvel finally let the villain win. They finally let the villain win. You have the snap and his sheer demeanor and presence, not only physically but mentally and intellectually on everybody, was just wow. Just like I said before, pure masterclass, not just by Brolin but by the Russo brothers and the MCU, Kevin Feige.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. O, you're up.
So this changed the game when we opened it up, and I'm going to change up my draft strategy. I'm going with Magneto as my second overall pick. I'm going with Magneto. I'm getting Ian McKellen's version in the original X-Men, and then I'm getting Fassbender in the new X-Men. I think either way, you choose either performance, they're phenomenal. Okay, by both. Even just like you think of Ian McKellen, Charles Xavier. So I think he's menacing on screen. He has one of like those motives, like one of the earlier superhero like supervillains, where you kind of understand their perspective compared to other MCU villains at the in the future, right? Where you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. Like they have all these superpowers and everything. He's a mutant fighting for the mutant cause. I have to go. I'm like changing my draft strategy. I have to go Magneto, too electric of a character, and an iconic rivalry / friendship with Charles Xavier.
Yeah, unbelievable character. I actually love the Fast Train and the new Michael Fassbender and the new X-Men with Magneto. Even in the bad movies, in those movies, which there are one or two, Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix were just atrocious, at least to me. He was still good in those, in my eyes. And Magneto's just a great character, great powers, great pick.
They make him so like even in the newer X-Men, they make him much more of a sympathetic figure too. And like he's fighting on the good side, but he's also on the bad side. He's still like will never fully join right the X-Men, but he will at times join forces to do what he thinks is right. He has a
Whatever's good
mind
for
of
the
his
mutants.
own. No one else leads his way of thinking. Very firm stance on all things. And electric costume too. Great helmet. Right when Fassbender first
Iconic.
puts on that helmet in the new X-Men, you're like, "Whoo, Charles."
Nez, you like that as a first rounder?
I do. That actually was that kind of snuck up. I've completely forgot about Magneto on my big board. So that's a good one. I'll take it.
Well,
Right.
good pick. It's off to me. You guys started out pretty strong. I'm gonna go current MCU and to a villain that is getting his own show. Yes, I'm drafting this in the first round. I'm going Loki. He has died 3 times, and you still think he's coming back for more. Like people still think that he's not dead, even after Infinity War. He just steals scenes with his charisma and his trickery, like the god of mischief, and also great costume. We just alluded to the helmet of Magneto. Great helmet by Loki. And like I said, just he's getting his own show. I think that shows how good of a villain he was / is. And I'm looking forward to DB Cooper seeing in Loki. Thoughts?
Great pick. The first round, because I completely forgot about Magneto. I thought there was a very obvious 1, 2, 3. Loki was in that 1, 2, 3. I think it's a great pick. He's a very charismatic character, but also kind of hateable at the same time. You get really angry with him because he's not very honorable a lot of the time, and it's very frustrating to deal with. But that's how you know somebody's playing a character well, and that the character is a good character, because you're genuinely getting frustrated with them, not because their acting is bad, because their character is making decisions that actually genuinely upset you, and that's it's actually impacting your psyche, and you're just like, come on, man, like you want to yell at him, you want to shake him, but no, I think that's a great pick. So
The God of Mischief, clear 1-2 with Thanos as the best MCU villains. Right, talking about Kevin Feige's universe. We go from the worst hair in the MCU to the best hair in the MCU. Absolute Flo Sidon. All right, and his character arc was so good that they're saying he could have died. They could have just killed him 3 times. He's like, no, I need him. Like they need him. He's gonna get his own show. He's turned into more of an anti-hero at this point, but we'll see where the series goes. I like the pick. I would have taken it too.
But all right, I get to start the second round here. I don't know where I'm gonna go. I'm looking at 4 right
Board
now.
is open now.
Yeah,
After
I
that
think-
first round, the board is open.
the board's
Yeah.
open.
Open for business, baby.
I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna do it. This is gonna be controversial. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. That's what I meant to. Controversial, I know. I didn't think I wanted one of the Spider-Man villains from Tobey Maguire because I still think Tobey Maguire is still my Spider-Man. So I wanted one of the villains in his films. I didn't. I don't trust you two that one of them will get back. That at least one of them will get back to me in the third round. So I had to pick one now. And honestly, Spider-Man 2 is a phenomenal film. You have the nostalgia factor in Spider-Man 1, but then Spider-Man 2, in my eyes, is a better film. It's similar to Harry Potter, where Harry Potter 1, people like it more because it's nostalgia factor, but Chamber of Secrets, in my eyes, is better. So I just did the same thing here. Doc Ock.
Wow. Not what I would have picked, but I definitely respect it. We do appreciate the original Spider-Man series. Changed comic book movies forever.
Yeah, I think I was going to pick this, so I think it's good. You stole it. Like I was going to pick this with my next pick. I thought you were going to pick it next because I know Ricky Flicks better than anybody. Like I knew he was going to do it. I had him as a first rounder as I adjusted my board. This is where the draft gets tough because I think those were the best performances. Although there are some other low key great ones, but I thought those were the clear cut four, and I even threw Dr. Octopus in there. And we're getting him back in the next Spider-Man.
Let's go.
Huge.
Alfred Molina time. Promising him
Harry Potter gif. He's back. He's back.
Excellent.
All right.
That's gonna be great.
And then
All
they're
right.
going to DH him. I don't know how that's going to work, but hopefully he can put on another stellar performance.
And again, Alfred Molina is just such an underrated actor and like just forgotten about all the time. And he just because everyone kind of knows him from he's kind of an older actor, so it's good as that he's gonna be back in this film for sure. Dr. Rowe, your second pick.
I hated his performance in the movie that we've reviewed today, but I'm going to go with Eric Killmonger from Black Panther. He broke the trend, I would say, of MCU villains. Like they had a bad run in phase 2 of the MCU. Killmonger came in, right? 2018's Black Panther. He provided a perspective that made you sympathize with him maybe more than any other Marvel character on this list. Talking about the struggle for African Americans, right, or just Black people in general, all right, and he brought that to the forefront in a movie that was central to it with Black Panther. The movie's now it was nominated for Best Picture. I know people don't agree with that. I personally don't agree with that. I do love Eric Killmonger's performance though. Ultimate swag in the MCU too. We talk about great hair. Also another great hair performance there. Got absolutely yoked for the role. I love his battle with T'Challa over the waterfall. One of my favorite MCU scenes. And then he has an epic ending to his final fight with T'Challa too. That's pretty epic. And his rise like to the throne, it makes you feel like, wow. Like it felt like for a second, you're like, this could end similarly where like Killmonger's on the throne leading to a Black Panther 2. Like I felt like that was a possibility watching that movie because he was so powerful. And I hope they somehow bring him back using the afterlife, the world they have in Black Panther 2. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think there's a common denominator here when it comes to villains. Especially people like Thanos, Magneto, people that we've already picked, and then also Killmonger, is that they're villains and you kind of root against them. But you have those moments where you're like, I kind of get where you're coming from, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Killmonger definitely falls under that umbrella.
Yeah.
I mean, Thanos, there are points where I'm like, wow, this guy kind of is making a little bit of sense. Obviously, I don't condone killing half the universe, but it's like, half the universe, lives in their world and they treat it terribly. They don't have respect for it. And, I obviously, like I said, I wouldn't wipe half the universe, but Thanos has his moments where you're like, this guy's he's not dumb. He's not dumb and he's not doing it, you know what I mean, for himself. But
better writing of characters.
Exactly. And then Magneto, same thing. He talks about the the mutants being oppressed and whatnot, and the fact that they're better than humans, which they kind of are. But and he has those moments where you're like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I kind of want to take your side right now. And I think that's what makes a really, really good villain is when you can listen to them speak and it makes sense. Like you can kind of relate.
And like Killmonger completely jacked this villainous role from what all MCU fans thought who was actually going to be the villain. They thought Andy Serkis with Ulysses Claw,
right? Yeah,
who was introduced in Age of Ultron. He was going to be the main antagonist for Black Panther. Yet we see Killmonger killing Claw right in the beginning of the movie. You're like, oh my god, this
Uh-oh.
guy's the guy. And then like he really put a stamp on that movie. Really powerful, commanding performance. I think he was. I love Chadwick Boseman. We all love Chadwick Boseman. But I think those scenes with Boseman and Michael B. Jordan. I think Michael B. Jordan just dominated him. To be honest.
Scene stealer.
Mm-hmm.
Is this your king?
Ricky Flick's favorite quote.
Unbelievable.
Who did you say that about? You opened up a review
It
about
was
and you
your.
said Nez.
It was about
Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry.
Oh,
To answer your question, I think I did then, and I will again now. No, Tom and Jerry is not my king. Flicks just throws stuff out there. I think he called me a Pete Davidson stan at one point in like the first
before
episode.
each review, you're
Ricky just throws out these labels. Just throws them out.
Pete
there.
Davidson, I'm not a big fan of. I know Dr. O's not, and Tom and Jerry, I know I'm not a big fan of. Dr. O wasn't. I know you were, but whatever. Don't need to defend myself.
Looney Tunes through and through.
I understand what you're saying, Nez. Nez, it's to you. End the second round here.
All right, so this is somebody that I mean, I still remember watching this movie in the theaters and being kind of freaked out by him, but now I watch and I get pretty excited. I'm going with the Green Goblin, original Raimi Spider-Man, baby. Back in the day, like I said, I was genuinely creeped out by him in that last scene. Kind of a complex storyline, and I think there's a couple other villains in this draft with almost similar ones, but the fact that he was his friend's dad, I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, no, I mean, one of my top villains.
Yeah, I mean,
Thoughts?
if it slipped to me, I was taking him, dude. I wanted a Tobey Maguire villain. So like the next one up every time. So Ricky Flex has snatched one for me. Now Nez has snatched one for me. And Willem Dafoe is so underrated. He should have gone in the underrated draft. Like he deserves an Oscar. He is so stellar, and he is so creepy in this role. It's like after people saw this role, they're like, this guy should play the Joker. This guy should have played the Joker. Yada yada yada. Still can play the Joker. Don't rule it out. But
Old Joker.
I love Dafoe. I don't like. I like the way his costume looks, but one of the problems I have with like the Spider-Man movies is how they move. Like in the Spider-Man, like they're going like almost such slow motion because he's carrying all this like armor. He
Yeah,
doesn't do
true.
that
Yeah.
well, you know,
He looks
but
like a
that's not-
Power Ranger.
right? And it's not Willem Dafoe's fault.
No.
It's just how the character is the costume.
I did like the costume, like the look of it. It's just
Oh,
you're
yeah.
right. It just you couldn't move in it, and you could tell, you know. But great pick. That was also next on my big board. That was my fourth on my big board. So great pick.
Thank you.
Start the third round here.
All right, so let me know if this is allowed, but I'm going with the Winter Soldier,
Allowed.
Very much allowed.
villain in Captain America in the Winter Soldier. Arguably the most badass he's ever been. Like when he's the Winter Soldier
Easily.
and he's not Bucky, like
Easily.
he is freaking a beast, dude. He is a beast. He is unstoppable almost. No, I'm a huge fan of not only this movie but this character in this movie. He's literally just sick, like a beast in this movie, and I just can't go on and I just can go on and on just about how like dominating he is, and he doesn't even say nothing. He's just out here killing.
Right.
I just like killing.
Dude, okay. Well, once again, MCU, great hair with the flow
Greasy.
side. In
Yeah,
there.
When you
Greasy.
said Loki had the best hair in the MCU, I was like running through like hair. So I was like, does he? Are you
Ding.
sure? Can I fight this? And I couldn't really think of anything, to be honest.
And in the comics, like I don't know, I didn't know much about Captain America in the comics other than Bucky Barnes becomes his sidekick. So when I saw Captain America: The First Avenger, Bucky quote unquote dies, and then he comes back as the Winter Soldier. I'm like, who the hell is the Winter Soldier? What the heck are they doing right now?
Right.
And then the first scene, he's running, he stops, he goes, phew, and he catches the shield. I'm just like, holy crap, that's one of the best moments in a trailer. And then it was
Yes.
electric in the movie theater. And then he was so dominant physically against Captain America. It's like Captain America goes to punch him, and then his like metal arm just goes, phew, not going anywhere, bud. You know, and then it has the great cliffhanger at the end. He is a villain. There is no veto possible here because he is the villain out of multiple in that film.
Mhm.
Right. Totally agree. He's on my big board. great personal story arc as well, and got his own show with Falcon. I know it's kind of mainly Falcons, but he still had his own show as well. Great
I liked
character in
him.
that. I actually just watched this movie last night. Just yeah, he was so sick in that. And also just one last thing with this is that Bucky Barnes is the reason why I have my gripes with the MCU, because there's an inconsistency with the power of their characters, their heroes and villains. Because
Yeah.
in The Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes like dominates Captain America most of the time. Like he's awesome. And then all of a sudden, Falcon the Winter Soldier, he can't beat Carly, this girl who just got the super serum. Like, what is this? He's a trained soldier. I don't care if he's wired in or not. He's gonna dominate anybody that's not trained in combat. Like, come on. Just wanted to say that off my chest. Moving on.
We cannot overlook the Sebastian Stan news that's going on right now. Did you guys
Oh,
see
Lily
the
James.
picture of him and Lily James as Tommy and Pam Anderson for the next show that we previewed earlier? Did you see those pictures?
Oh yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's gonna be raunchy. That's gonna be raunchy.
That's
It's
side
like
by
Lily
side.
James is biting the nipple ring. I was like, oh my.
They were. I
goodness.
think they were recreating
Lordy.
old pictures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. It's just
Yeah,
gonna
the
be
side
raunchy.
by
I
side
did-
picture was
Lily James unrecognizable.
Yeah, you're right.
Unrecognizable.
She
Totally
looks. She
different.
looks so different.
All
Like
right.
I was staring at the picture, trying to like see in her eyes, like, is that Lily James? I just couldn't see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Could
you were
not see it.
staring at her eyes, Ricky. Right.
All right, bonk. Okay, moving on. Dr. Rowe,
Bonk.
your third pick.
I'm gonna go with Adrian Toomes from Spider-Man: Homecoming. Adrian Toomes. So with Michael Keaton, known as Batman. But what does he do? Cross over to the MCU. Right. And when does he cross over to the MCU? After his acting career has absolutely catapulted from the depths of hell. Right. Birdman, the founder. Then we're doing Spider-Man: Homecoming, Vulture, a character that was supposed to appear in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4. I think Michael Keaton was cast perfectly. Think they had a nice twist with Michael Keaton being the father of, I think her name was Michelle in Spider-Man: Homecoming, if I'm remembering correctly. Could be wrong about that, but I thought he was excellent. One of the best scenes in the MCU. I brought up a couple in the car with Tom Holland, has the date, leave the car, and then he says, "You don't want to mess with me, kid." And he's absolutely making Tom Holland cry like a little baby, making him cry like a little baby, just absolutely dominating the guy. Costume was adapted pretty well because like the Vulture, you're like, what? I mean, that's gonna look ridiculous, like in a modern day setting. But they adapted it pretty well. They connected it to the original Avengers. Love that. Michael Keaton, one of the best actors going. I just watched Spotlight. I meant to write a review on it before the Oscars. One of the best actors going. So I'm gonna go Michael Keaton.
Yeah, no, that was. If you didn't pick it, I was gonna pick it next. Great pick. Liz was his daughter in that. Liz.
Sorry.
And just another thing is that throughout the movie, you think, oh, it's just another prototypical bad guy trying to kill the hero so he can get rich off these weapons and become powerful, right? But nope, twist, like you said, he gets to know Peter Parker, dating his daughter, kind of taking her to the dance. Very cool twist in the car ride, electric scene. Great scene, great pick.
Good old Spider-Man.
Really, it creates a lot of tension, right? When you find that out as the audience, you're just like, "Oh, snap!" Like, and it holds for a while because you're like, "This is really awkward," and then you're kind of putting yourself in that position. And him as a, I think it comes back again. I mean, I wouldn't say he's super relatable, but you kind of see where he's coming from, where it's like his life kind of fell apart a little bit, and then he had to find other means in a way,
Right.
or change the way he goes about.
They attempt to
life.
make him more sympathetic for sure.
Exactly.
And we're getting more of him. He's going to be in Morbius, the Jared Leto movie coming out, Spider-Man connected too. Good.
And he's going to be in Batman.
Oh my gosh.
Flash.
The
He goes-
return. The return
Oh,
of the
Flash.
King.
Flash. He's going to be Batman in Flash. But yeah, he goes MCU, or he goes DC, MCU,
Dabble
DC, MC. Like, yeah, he's got
Get
a
you a
foot
man
in
who
both
can do
worlds
both.
right now. He's
Both
killing
DC.
it.
Marvel, DC. Love it. Love the pick. Got it like third round. That's pretty good. The Marvel deep board here.
Yeah, we're
up?
getting in. We're getting into
This is where we go.
yeah,
This is where
this-
we go.
This is where we win and lose the draft right here, I think.
And
Boomer
I'm
bust.
just gonna go right now. I'm not gonna get cute. I'm going the highest on my big board. His cameo in Infinity War was unbelievable. Red Skull. Red Skull.
Mm.
I know Dr. O, I think, thought I was picking someone else because I saw how shocked he was. Red Skull, Hugo Weaving, like, what a boss. What a boss. He was awesome, and obviously in the first Captain America, like, very good. And in Infinity War, when he came out of nowhere, like, I nearly jumped out of my seat in shock.
Mhm.
It just made sense. I know I'm not the only one that wanted more of him after Captain America, the first Avenger. And also all-time look. Like, it's the Red Skull. Like, come on now.
Right.
Yeah.
Do not Hail Hydra, though.
I honestly I don't like the first Captain America. It didn't really do it for me, and the Red Skull didn't do it for me there. But what I will say is his appearance in Infinity War, it comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, like I don't know. I think he's more of a. I think if you're a huge comic book fan, people like are obsessed with the Red Skull, and I get that. But in the first one, I didn't really like it. When he appeared in Infinity War, I was like, oh snap, and he did a really good job too. It was unsettling. It was like cool, and it did like some world building too. So I enjoyed that.
I forget if I was sitting next to Ricky Flex. Did Infinity War come out when you were in the States or were you abroad?
Was not here, but I did see
I
it
think
with
it
you
was-
when I came back for like the third time I saw it.
Okay, because maybe I was with Mike, right? Our brother, me and Ricky Flex's brother. When Red Skull popped up on the screen, I started punching him in the arm. I was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm just like slamming his arm. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? We're getting Red Skull right now."
Yeah.
Red Skull is like the ultimate foe for Captain America. I think he's not done in the MCU as long as Hugo Weaving somehow returns, but it doesn't seem like he left on good terms with Marvel. That would have been awesome if he somehow came back because he's still obviously alive. I am a fan of him. I thought he was a bright spot in Captain America, the first Avenger. The thing about the first Avenger, that is like, if you're looking to stay away from corny movies, like that, I mean, it's an ultimate cornball movie.
It's a Captain
know?
America movie. Like Captain
Right.
America is the biggest cornball in Marvel.
Yeah.
Let's give it up for Captain America. Yeah. So I like the pick. I think he looks cool too. I like they did a pretty good job with like the Red Skull aspect. It didn't look
The reveal was
super
good.
fake.
Like
Yeah.
and the burning bridge in the Hydra.
Yeah, when he
plant,
rips
like,
it off.
Yeah,
That was cool.
But yeah, I took that, and then to start the fourth round here, I'm gonna go the best hair in Marvel, and that's Ego, Kurt Russell. Like, are you kidding me? Like Ego and Guardians 2. Now, I know if he leaves his planet, he's not necessarily the same powerful figure, but in that movie, the comic relief mixed with his pure power and motives behind it, and I think the real scene that you really saw both of those both ends of the sword there was when he tells Quill that he killed his mother, like, and he was just so calm about it, so calm, cool, collective, and that role also just showed how good of like Kurt Russell is at acting. Like, he just recently came off of that Netflix movie, The Christmas Chronicles or whatever, and actually got a sequel, but like he can still act and at the highest level. And you saw him in Hateful Eight 2 years prior to this movie as well, where he was a beast in that. And also, it gave us a background of Peter Quill. We were all wondering, like, all right, his mom died on Earth, but who was his dad? It wasn't David Hasselhoff. We all know that. But like, I don't need to say anymore. I think Kurt Russell. I think. Like,
Did you like Guardians 2?
Oh yeah, one of the best movie soundtracks of all time in my eyes.
Nez, did
Oh,
you
well,
not?
I didn't really like it that much, to be honest. Not nearly as good as Guardians 1, at least.
Much better villain
I-
than the first one, though.
I'd put it in
Yes.
and I put it in the bottom half of MCU movies, and I'll just leave it at that.
So I think
It's not in your top
Guardians
10.
2, like Guardians 2, I really did enjoy, but I understand the aspect. The one thing they could have done better, forced comedy, that was not very good in terms of a visual spectacle. Incredible, so incredible. Soundtrack, oh my god. Villain, so much better. But I think Guardians 1 is such like it was like something so new for the MCU, such a
Yeah.
new type of superhero movie that was like, I might watch that tonight, honestly. But it was crazy, and but like it was hard to build up such a like phenomenon. But Kurt Russell, I liked how he reunited with Disney, because that's who launched his career. Disney launched Kurt Russell with
Great point.
The World's Strongest Man or whatever, like all those movies in the early 80s when Disney Channel, not Disney, the Disney original movies, our dad talks about them all the time. and how like that's how he learned who Kurt Russell was. Kurt Russell then goes on to make a couple more serious movies. He reunites with he basically tag teams with Tarantino for a few films. He's back on the map. Put him as a Marvel villain. I think he did a great job. One of the best parts of it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But Dr. O goes to you. Your fourth pick.
The board is getting thin, boys. Mighty thin. I am going to go with Ultron. I'm going to go with Ultron, voiced by James Spader. All-time villain voice. All-time villain voice. One that I wish I had. So Age of Ultron was somewhat obviously a letdown compared to the original Avengers. But, okay, I'm not even going to say he was a better villain than Loki, because he wasn't. But the menace, the voice performance in this movie, I mean, rivals a lot of the greatest animation that we've ever seen, like animated movies. Imagine like James Spader in a Pixar as a, like if you had an animated universe with the Avengers and James Spader was just voicing, like you'd be like, this is the greatest Marvel villain of all time. But we're unlucky in the fact that it's live action. So, but I think I'm just mainly drafting the voice. And it was just a new type of villain that wasn't from another world. It was from within, and it was created by Tony Stark and Bruce Banner that they end up having to fight. Age of Ultron, not a great movie, but I think Ultron himself, pretty cool.
Yeah, James Spader, perfect casting for arrogant genius menace like role. Like you're drafting the voice of James Spader, and I completely agree with the pick. Great pick.
Thanks.
No thoughts, Nez?
I'm sorry, guy. I feel like a hater right now, but I don't really like Ultron that much either. I wasn't a fan.
The
The
movie's
board is
not
thin.
good.
The board is thin. Ultra, like I mean,
I had a few above Ultron on my big board, but like honestly, the board's thin. In a fourth round and beyond, I feel like they're all in the same tier right now,
did.
except maybe one. There's like one or two that might be in the upper
there's
tier.
one I want.
But
I have a couple surprise picks potentially in the fifth round. Oh, I got to see how it plays out here with Nez's next two.
All right, I
Well,
get
Nez,
two
go
right
ahead.
now, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so oh man, I think I'm gonna throw a curveball here, guys. I think I'm gonna throw a curveball. And this person is not. This is a Marvel character, not from a Marvel movie,
Oh boy.
but from a recently released Marvel show. So is that okay? I'm going with Agatha Harkness
Mm-hmm.
from Scarlet. What's I forgot the name of it.
WandaVision.
WandaVision
Bad
from
luck.
Scarlet Witch, from WandaVision. So not only is this pick a curveball, but this villain was a curveball because you didn't really know where this show was going for the first couple episodes. Surprise, there's an evil witch that's in the town with Wanda, and she is the main villain of the show. She's extremely memeable, took the internet by storm with her little wink. That wasn't good. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about this pick here?
It was Agatha all along.
Catchy theme song. I mean, it's checking all the boxes.
The only thing is, well, I mean, she is a villain. I was gonna say she's not the only villain of that show.
Yeah.
But I think she was. I like Catherine Hahn a lot. I know Nez drafted her as one of the most underrated actresses, as his most underrated, underrated actress. I'm hoping there's a chance we see her in the future of the MCU. It's not like she's killed off or anything. Yeah, and she it was like you knew that she was probably the villain, right? And she was I think she did a good job kind of playing it off. Sometimes Marvel does a terrible job in terms of trying to hide the villain in plain sight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this one, they kind of did a good job. They kept you on your toes. You kept saying to yourself, maybe Wanda is the actual villain here. And there are people that still argue that she was, right? But I think Agatha Harkness is a good pick. Surprisingly powerful too. If you're going up against Scarlet Witch and you're going up with that power one-on-one, like you got to be pretty stellar.
You got to be
You got to bring the thunder.
Exactly. What do you think, Flicks?
I think she's a good villain. I know you have another pick,
Mm-hmm.
but I just think there's a clear couple that are better in my eyes, at least, and that are actual villains that they are more villainous throughout their role and their screen time. And also, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say the P word, but it's a little bit of the P word in my eyes.
Oh, come on. Get out of here.
That was kind of all your I didn't
Am I
think
being
of it
accused
until
of pandering
your explanation
after
was
your
pretty
election
panderish.
fraud? After your
My
election
election
fraud last week? I don't wanna
excuse me,
hear
I
it.
feel
where's
like
your
I'm
proof?
unsafe around these this political atmosphere.
No
Are you
proof.
kidding me?
No
A
proof.
pander pick. No, that was
What
a
are you
pick
gonna do
that.
next? Change
I
the
had a-
election
let-
rules.
I had a
change the
short
voting
list-
rules.
Let me
Horse
ask you
thin.
guys, did you guys have it
These
on your big board?
accusations.
Fifth
Did
rounder.
you have it on your big board?
Potential fifth rounder. I
Honorable
wrote down.
mention for me.
I doubt it. I think you guys didn't even have it on your big board.
I did. No, I had him in my fifth round.
Honorable
I had as
mention.
one of my picks.
Anyways,
Your
moving
fifth
on
pick.
to the fifth pick, my final pick of the draft. I'm going with Ironmonger from the original Iron Man. Now, I talk about some of the villains being relatable and people that you kind of like. This is somebody that I just hated. And that's another one because this villain just really, I just did not like him and I wanted to fight him myself. So that's why he makes my list of villains. This guy's greedy. He's a son of a biscuit eating bulldog. And I said that while I was watching the movie. I was like, this guy's a son of a biscuit eating bulldog.
Said the same thing.
Most people would say that. But it's also, he's very entertaining and helped kick off the MCU. That just shows how good of a villain he was.
I had him as a potential. I had him as a potential fourth rounder. Like I thought it would slip to me. I do like Obadiah Stane. I like Jeff Bridges. I think he's one of the most underrated actors in the game, and he even has an Oscar. So it's kind of weird that we consider him. I consider him underrated. Yeah, and like he was kind of like you kind of suspected he was the villain in plain sight, kinda. And obviously kicked off the MCU. How can you not have how can that villain not be drafted? So I don't blame like the fifth. It's good fifth round value, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you talk about tension, like Jeff Bridges
Oh.
in that film, whether it's RDJ like pulling his metal heart out or Gwyneth Paltrow stealing the files, like the tension in those scenes between
Pretty good.
Obadiah / Ironmonger and either Gwyneth Paltrow or RDJ, like that's tension. Like wow, that like I still sweat sometimes thinking about it. My God, but that's right where I had it. I had him as my 13th on my big board. So good pick.
All right,
Dr. O, round out your draft.
I don't know if I'm winning this draft because I feel like Thanos is a huge that's
yeah,
like
if you have
see
Thanos,
people are gonna get drawn to that. But I think I have to make just a complete draft. I just got to do it by the book. No funny business here. I'm gonna go Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal from Far From Home. I feel like if you're getting Jake Gyllenhaal in a draft and you're getting him in the fifth round, holy cannoli, it's pretty good, no? The only thing is, as a comic book fan, they say Jake Gyllenhaal's playing Mysterio, and then they try and sell the fact that he's not actually a villain. I was not falling for that for a second. That hurt the movie, but I did like Gyllenhaal's performance. I thought he was great. He was long overdue to be in a Spider-Man movie. I hope we see more of him in the future. He looked sick. His powers he didn't have powers, but I like how they kind of implemented that backstory relating to obviously Tony Stark. But RIP my dog. But I'm happy with getting him in the fifth round. That's all I gotta say. Happy.
Yeah, he was on my big board as well. I think that Gyllenhaal did a great job in this role, and I think that it was a well-written and well-done villain for sure. I think the story, he really helps with the story, and it kind of made it make sense. Like in this world of heroes, this guy just like appears and like they kind of accepted, like, yeah, this is Mysterio, guys.
This is
like
the new Avenger.
Yeah, he's the new Avenger. Like he's a new guy with powers because we live in a world where people have powers, but it turns out that they're actually not real, and it's a
Spoiler alert.
facade.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Dr. O, that like you know that he's a bad guy. Like he's
That's
Mysterio,
on Marvel.
so it's
Marvel
just,
screwed it up.
But like I do agree with Nez that Jake Gyllenhaal was great. I do think like even though he doesn't get the whole movie to develop, like he doesn't get enough screen time to say, hey, I am the big bad in this entire movie. But at the end, like the twist is an all-time twist. No one saw that coming unless you were a part of the production team or Kevin Feige. Like
that post-credit scene.
It's like it's up there with the Snap. Like it's the Snap than that, as in the
Well,
craziest
yeah.
twist or endings in
Jaw-dropping.
any Marvel movie. So that's why he's draftable. That's why he's out, like in my eyes, he was my 14th overall. So that's where you drafted him. Again, great pick.
Mel Kiper over here. Yeah, good. I was gonna go with somebody else, but I was afraid of being accused of the P word. But I like what I got out of Mysterio as a 5th rounder.
Well, now it's up to me to round out the draft for Mr. and Mrs. Irrelevant. And I'm stuck between two. And they're right next to each other on my big board.
Which one's he gonna pick? I know what he's choosing between.
And I'm also afraid of the P word for one of them. But you know what? We're gonna bring diversity to this to this top billing. This is a guy where you have an Oscar-winning actress who just decides, you know what? I'll play in the Marvel DC, the MCU here, and Thor's resurgence to show Thor's the most powerful Avenger, and that's Kate Blanchett and as Hela in Thor Ragnarok. She was great in this movie. Her powers are awesome. You get a backstory of the true origin story of Asgard, and like I just said, that movie is just phenomenal. And I know she's not necessarily the best part of that movie. It's not like a Thanos who clearly is the best part of Infinity War.
Mhm.
Thor is clearly the best part about this movie, and you have a Hulk, and you already have a Loki on his side. But Hela and just her sheer power and her stopping Thor's hammer and breaking it is just all time, at least for me. That in that trailer, you were just like, who is this person? And then you find out it's Hela, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. For me, that's going to be the last pick here for me.
So that's what I was gonna say is one of the crazy things about this character is you could argue that she's like a top 3 most powerful being
Next to Thanos.
in the MCU, like with Thanos, and like I guess she overpowers Thor.
I'm not
Like,
convinced she's dead.
She might be number 2. Like she is unbelievably powerful. So you could make this pick off of power alone. But I think they did a good job with, using her to tell a backstory about Asgard and kind of doing some world building there in what absolutely positively hands down is the best Thor movie that they've come out with.
Mhm.
So I like this pick a lot. Honestly, I would have picked her over Ego or Red Skull. Honestly, I think that she's that good, and just off of power alone, she's a beast.
Interesting. We know Thor. Yeah, we know Thor. Ragnarok needed to have a strong villain after the disappointment that was Thor: The Dark World, and you're bringing in Kate Blanchett. I'm about to say holy cannoli again for like the 4th time this episode, but
Somebody
you're bringing
wants some
Kate
cannolis.
oh my gosh, I'd go kill for one right now. But you can't go wrong when you go in Kate Blanchett. I thought Ricky Flicks was throwing some misdirection because he said this guy played by an actress or something like that. I was just like, what are we doing? I'm like, she did play Bob Dylan in a movie, but like, I don't know about it. But yeah, great pick. It's a great value at 15. I had that as next on my board, along with rivaling someone that you were probably going to pick with the P word.
Yeah. I wanted to say this is a guy because Nez was like, we got Mel Kiper over here. So like, what do you think?
I didn't even say that.
I said that.
Dr. Credit said that. I was just like, oh, this is a guy. But that rounds out our draft. I'll quickly read them out and then do honorable mentions. Nez has Thanos, Green Goblin from Spider-Man, Winter Soldier, Agatha, and Ironmonger from Iron Man. Dr. Rowe has Magneto, Eric Killmonger, Vulture, Ultron, and Mysterio. Ricky Flicks has Loki, Dr. Octopus, Doc Ock, Red Skull, Ego, Hela.
This is going to be a competitive vote.
This is going to be a good one.
I think Flicks. Thanos is just such a powerful character.
Yeah, Flicks, make sure you use the wink meme for Agatha when you're making the graphic. Make sure so people know that, I'm pandering to them.
Well, I'll say here with Hela, the person I was toying with was Zemo.
I was hoping someone's going to draft Zemo, so when I edit this for YouTube, I can do like the Zemo gif of him dancing. I can't wait to do that. But that's when I was debating at 14. It was going to be either him or Mysterio, and I chose Mysterio. Because if you judge him on Captain America Civil War, he's not the best villain, because really the villain are the Avengers like pitting themselves against one another. He's just like the person who sets everything up. And then if you go Falcon the Winter Soldier, he's not even the villain in the show. He's helping out the team, So it doesn't really line up. So he looks awesome. If I was going just based off the character, I would lean more towards Falcon the Winter Soldier in terms of like the villainous aspect, even though he wasn't really a villain. It's kind of hard to explain, you know?
Yeah, I like the reason why I didn't pick him is because he's not very powerful, but I respect his game. He's not a person that's trying to take over the throne or
Game
isn't
respect
powerful,
game.
not like a mutant or anything like that. He's just a villain that hates superhuman. Like he just wants to kill superhuman. He's not trying to take over the world or anything. So I kind of respect that, but then again, like I just went with the most powerful villain left on the board. But any other honorable mentions? I know it's a thin board right now.
Yeah, I got Francis from Deadpool. And then I have Yondu from the first Guardians of the Galaxy. He is
That's a
a
good
villain
pick.
in that one.
That'd been good. Yondu. I had someone. I thought Ricky Flicks kind of misdirected me again from Infinity War. He went Red Skull. I was thinking Ebony Maw. Ebony Maw is awesome.
was on my
I
big
was
board.
Ebony
I was
Maw is-
really
Oh,
that was gonna be if I felt like I was gonna lose this draft, I was gonna pick Ebony Maw as my 5th rounder, and I was disappointed that Ebony Maw dies in Infinity War in like
Yeah.
not even the midway point, but then makes a return obviously in Endgame for a short span of time. But such a powerful member of the Black Order, and it's like the right hand man. It's almost like not like Steppenwolf to Darkseid, but like you know what I mean by that. It's like it's
Yeah.
a right hand person. Someone's gonna take care of all the tasks for the big bad. You know,
very powerful. Another very powerful villain for sure.
Squidward.
But yeah, Ebony Maw, like also on my big board, just unreal. I just wish he got more screen time, you know.
I also had the Grandmaster for Thor Ragnarok. I didn't love him, but I thought he was a cool character. Jeff Goldblum is a wacky oddball dude, so I don't mind seeing him on the screen. I had Scarlet Witch from WandaVision. That would have been a
Interesting.
controversial pick. Would have been a
would've been
big time.
controversial, yeah.
That would have been a pander, I think, if I did Scarlet Witch as a villain, because that's like the hot take on Twitter. And I had Surtur from Thor Ragnarok as well. He takes down Hela. Talking about powerful people.
Yeah,
Solid.
yeah. Nez, any more?
No, I think we got it covered.
Yeah. Well,
There's
that's
other
good.
people, there's other villains, but not ones worth mentioning in the best, you know.
Alexander
Like
Pierce.
I could say Ronan, but I don't like Ronan.
Right. And Alexander Pierce, like Robert Redford's a great actor, but like I don't know. You think of the Winter Soldier in that, and just the sheer action scenes with him, awesome. But that's gonna round out our top billing of Marvel villains. Nez, back to you.
All right. Very contentious top billing. I think we predicted that one early on in the podcast.
Good decision to expand it. Great decision to expand it, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we needed those
Mhm.
Spider-Man picks. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean that will conclude this episode of the Drive-In Podcast. We'd like to thank you for listening, and please leave us a review wherever you're listening to this and rate us 5 stars like your favorite Uber driver. Next week, we are reviewing Taylor Sheridan's Those Who Wish Me Dead, starring Angelina Jolie and John Bernthal. It's in theaters and on HBO Max this Friday, May 14th. So make sure you tune in for that so then you can circle back, listen to the podcast, and follow along on our review. Before we go, please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Drive-In Pod, and give us a like on Facebook and a follow on YouTube as The Drive-In. And always, always, always check out our blog on a daily basis on thedriveinpod.com. Thank you all once again for listening, and we will
Smell ya.